coming at you. What you know about that? Welcome to Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff, where we talk about the world of professional wrestling and we talk about stuff. I'm on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. Welcome wherever you're streaming us. Thank you for tuning in day after day, week after week, year after year on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. Where, folks, we talk about stuff. What is stuff? It's COVID updates, it's sports related activity, it's the world of entertainment. So, folks, we cover a lot of different subject matter on our show. And I say our show because you, the followers, the subscribers, the people that click that button to give me a financial future doing this instead of, and never mind. Thank you for subscribing to our show. And I hope you're having an attitude of gratitude every single day, even during this very difficult time in our world. If anyone has lost family, number one, friends, and anyone in general that's had any effects from this very interesting time in our world, the pandemic. This pandemic has changed the entertainment industry. It has changed life in general. And unfortunately for me, it made me look the best that I've ever looked. Wait a minute. Did I just say unfortunately? I apologize. I feel healthy. I have an attitude of gratitude. And I'm just happy right now. And you could say just by my outfit, woo, I'm the dead. No, I'm not. Anyways, back to focus. For those that watch current wrestling, you'll understand the storyline of Ric Flair impregnating potentially a woman that is 40 years younger than him. Moving on. Anyways, back to focus. Woo! Anyways, my whole point is this. Is there a point? Yes, there is. COVID-19 has affected our world. It has affected us in general. I have updates for you. States expand vaccine eligibility amid stubborn U.S. caseload. The number of new coronavirus cases has declined sharply since the start of the year, but the country has recorded 55,000 cases a day over the past 3 weeks. Kansas, Minnesota, and Minnesota, home of Governor Jesse the Body Ventura at one time. South Carolina said those 16 years, South Carolina, by the way, the Carolinas were the nature boy, woo, used to be the king of wrestling back in the 70s, 80s, and even the 90s. And I'll tell you right now, New Jersey, hey, I don't got nothing for Jersey, sorry. Hey, Tony Soprano, there you go. Yes, in New Jersey, they said people 55 and older would be eligible on April 5th for basically, I believe, what? Vaccines? So let's continue this process. At least 34 states are giving adults vaccines access by mid-April. But the aim by Biden made, this is really all botchy. I'm so sorry, folks. I'm just trying my best to read what New York Times has to say. And I'm just going to tell you right now, it sounds horrible. Well, I sound horrible trying to read this because it doesn't make any sense. Essentially, what it's saying is there's vaccines available. That's all I got for you. Do you understand why I don't like to read? Well, I mean, I do read. I'm not illiterate, but I'm just saying, sometimes people will be like, what the hell is wrong with him? When you watch this show, let's just get it out of the way, folks. My name is Larry Lawrence. The name's so nice, they named me twice. Yes. Don't be confused because my name is Larry or Lawrence. Pick one. Anyways, but there's a reason why we're here, to confuse you. What is this show about? It's about information like getting a vaccine and what states have more vaccines than others for some reason. Why is it that we're not all getting it at the same time? Is it like a lottery or something? Hey, New Jersey over here, get your vaccines. I mean, seriously? Did I just have to say that we're begging to live? Yeah, we're going to get into it later, maybe on a different topic about control. Well, not today, because what we're here for is entertainment. So what we're going to do is Well, no, that wasn't it, folks. What I just did was show you something that the character of Dustin Hoffman did in a movie called Rayman, which came out December 12th, 1988. I had the notes there earlier. Hold on a second. It's coming back to me now. Oh, it's coming back to me. Hold on. Oh, there's the notes. Anyways. Yes, December 12th, 1988 was the release date of this movie. And let me tell you something. Rain Man is one of the coolest movies you'll watch that's heartfelt and that gives you that understanding that somebody with autisticness who doesn't have autisticness can win a Best Actor award for his role in this movie. And I'll tell you right now, the reason why he won Best Actor is because Dustin Hoffman portrays an autistic man, grown autistic man, who is inside of a facility. His brother, who's played by Tom Cruise, his name is Charlie Babbitt. And Charlie Babbitt is definitely one of the most unique characters you're ever going to find in your life. Okay? Charlie Babbitt is Pretty Boy Tom Cruise. Now, this is after Risky Business, so we already know who he is. He's established in Hollywood. He's a pilot in Top Gun. And now he plays a car dealer. Not necessarily, he's kind of a hustler car dealer, kind of like black market style. I feel like he's like, I'll get you a deal. Maybe they're cars that are hot. Who knows? We don't really establish that, I don't feel. We establish more that he's a very greedy, self-centered, having sex with a Latina assistant or something. Anyways, all I'm saying is that it's in the movie. I'm not making this up. Anyways, the fact is, Tom Cruise discovers he has an autistic brother who's in a facility, and he never knew he had a brother. I guess they were separated at a young age because his father, they don't have a good relationship, and Tom discovers that his father passed away. But he left $3 million, I guess, to a institution. And I guess he gave him a car, and that was it. So you're like, dude, I got a car out of the deal? My father passed away. Well, I guess because they weren't close. But he left all this money to this institution where his brother's at. So he takes his brother on a road trip. He kind of sneaks him out of the facility and holds him hostage almost, saying, you know what? You're not giving me my money. You're giving me a car. I'm taking this car and taking my brother. And he discovers a relationship with an autistic brother, played by Dustin Hoffman. And I'll tell you right now, this amazing, and honestly, I'm an actor. I don't work as consistently as I used to, but I've been in movies and TV shows. You can find me on 90210 and the Peach Pit After Dark. I was dancing. Anyways, Brian Austin Green, by the way, he's super cool. And I still have the sideburns from Brandon and Dylan right here. See that, folks, on YouTube? Yes, you're watching on YouTube, so you see me visually. Yes, I know I'm handsome, ladies. And please, if you want to subscribe and drop me a phone number. Anyways. I'm just saying I'm single. Whatever. That's my other podcast. So we're focusing back on Dustin Hoffman. So this Dustin Hoffman character, I just watched the footage from the YouTube's best award-winning performance for an Oscar in 1988. The Academy Award went to Dustin Hoffman for his role. I mean, this thing won a bunch of awards. Right now, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to do a better article than I'm going to give you Rain Man 1988. There it is. And when you click on it, dude, this thing won tons of awards. It's got 8 out of 10 IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, 89%. Okay. And I don't know what Metacritic is, but 90% of people on Google and other places, because they don't sponsor us, they basically said they like this movie. Barry Levinson is the director. Dude, it won so many awards. 1989, Dustin Hoffman, Best Actor in a Leading Role. Academy Award for Best Picture, okay, 1989. Okay, Academy Award for Best Directing, Barry Levinson. Okay, Pretty Boy Tom Cruise, not listed. And it's interesting, even in the speech for Dustin Hoffman, he doesn't reference Tom Cruise. So I don't know if there was a hate relationship with him there, but he doesn't really talk very fondly of him. And he won an award, Tom Cruise did, in the Kansas City Film Critics role, where he put that on the shelf in the back room. Anyways, But I'm just saying, and I've used to drive by Tom Cruise's house in the Hollywood Hills area because I used to be one of those Stars Homes tours guide, and I used to actually, no, I think it was Beverly Hills. Anyways, the whole point is he's rich, and he had a ton of houses. That the fence would go for miles, and we couldn't see the rest of it, so we would just show it to you from an angle, and then we used to ask the people when baby Siri was born or just born, "Did you see him yet?" Because TMZ used to sit out there in their cars. You're like, dude, seriously, you get paid to sit in your car all day, and that's all? I mean, they don't really get paid. They got to get the photo, and then they sell the photo, and they make the money. Yeah, that's a real job in Hollywood, folks. You learn everything on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. And the reason why we say stuff is because that wasn't really wrestling related, but I worked on a movie called Valkyrie with Tom Cruise where I played a dead body for 2 days. And thank God I lived to tell you the story. You see the oxymoron there? I played a dead body to, never mind. Anyways, see, folks, once we tell you stories like this, you have to just keep up with Larry. Otherwise, we're going to see you in the rear view mirror and we're going to say bye-bye now, but that's at the end of the show. Okay. Anyways, the whole point is this. Is there a point? Yes, there is. This movie kicks ass. And you can find it on Netflix right now. Yeah, whatever. I said it. Go watch it. If you haven't, watch it. It's worth watching. 1988. Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise. I'm not going to ruin it anymore for you because Dustin Hoffman, even thanks to autistic people, his dad's in the hospital. He's a disabled person now. He says they left him in convalescent. And I don't know why you do that if you're Dustin Hoffman, because you could buy another nurse and another house for him right next door. I don't know. All I know is this. The whole point is this. Dustin Hoffman wins Best Actor. You have to see this performance. Director even says the movie was going to go to crap. It was falling apart. We don't know why. He doesn't go into details. It's a part of his speech at the awards, okay? And he's so deep during his speech. He doesn't even smile. He's best friend. He used to be a roommate with Gene Hackman. I totally did not know that. So anyways, he talks about how his dad wanted to see Gene Hackman again at the Golden Globes. Now he's at the Oscars winning an award. No reference to Tom Cruise. No visual Tom Cruise. So I don't even know if he was there that night. But all I know is Dustin Hoffman won Best Actor. Maybe they thought Tom Cruise should win Best Actor. Maybe there was that conflict. You know how it is, Hollywood. I've been there. No, you don't know how it is. I've lived there. I've been there. I've done that. And now we have this show. Anyways, did I just have a moment of just like a sigh? Yeah, I did. Yeah. Anyways, that was a Rayman reference. And why do we call him Rayman? Why don't you watch the movie and find out? My business partner is a very smart man. Well, he thinks he is. Anyways, the whole point is this. Whatever. That's my other podcast. This is the point of the show. It doesn't make sense. It's like Seinfeld without the money. If that didn't make sense to you, then I don't know, folks. Turn off the show. Go watch another podcast or listen to another podcast, whatever way you stream us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify. Anyways, see how I did a cheap plug there? YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. So you subscribe on one of those three, and you build our show. And we will be the status of a Gary Vee and a Jim Cornette before you know it. Sure. Anyways, back to focus. Let's remind ourselves that he was up against Tom Hanks, Gene Hackman, his buddy, and Edward James Olmos and Stand and Deliver. Oh, we'll watch that movie and then we'll review that next time. But I'm telling you right now, this movie is worthy of watching. And I'll tell you right now, the autistic Dustin Hoffman, he's not autistic. He definitely convinced you though, because he does all kinds of mannerisms and hits his head. And I don't know. I'm just saying. Bird, that was for you. Anyways, all I'm saying is this. Let's keep it moving, folks, to current wrestling. Okay, because you know what? If I keep focusing on one thing for a long period of time, this show will be about 4 hours of me talking. And Bird, I don't think you can handle that. Well, I know I can't, personally. I like to talk, but I also like to watch, birds flying outside. What do you like to do? I like to see what's outside in the real world, not just here in the Ring of Life. The Ring of Life. I didn't even reference it yet, but there it is. You're in it. Welcome. And see, folks, that's the good thing about being a part of our show. You never know what you're going to get. And that's could be, hey, I can review that one too, Forrest Gump. Yeah, we got a lot of movies to review. Got a lot of 80s and 90s TV shows. I like to talk about the old school. Why? Because it was better then. I was a young one during, a period of time in my life. I'm still younger looking. Anyways, checking myself out here, folks. If you're watching YouTube, yeah, I do tend to do random things. So thank you for watching and thank you for trying to figure me out, and you never will. And I want to understand one thing. What is the problem with wrestling? Why can't they figure it out? Let's get into wrestling because that's what the show, bottom line, is all about. That's what Steve Austin used to say, and Larry's saying it. And what I'm saying is today's wrestling product really needs an injection of not just a vaccine, but it needs an injection of something. Because right now, folks, watching wrestling is cringeworthy. It's like sad. That's why today we're going to be talking about WrestleMania 17, or as they called it, X7. So WrestleMania 17 from the Houston Astrodome. I watched this pay-per-view. I've only been to one big WrestleMania that had 80,000, the one at Ford Field in Michigan, home of the Rusty Cars. And I'll tell you right now, that one right there was one of the most amazing experiences of my life because I'd never been around 80,000 people. Now, I may have been drunk, but I was around 80,000 people and I was drunk. But whatever, that's the other podcast. But the focus is this. You can find it on Facebook Live, by the way. Just subscribe on Facebook or like it on Facebook, whatever, the Larry Lawrence podcast. I know it's a cheap plug. But the whole point is this. Ford Field and 80,000 plus people. An amazing, amazing event. And the reason why? We're going to discuss WrestleMania 17. Aha, gotcha. We're not going to Ford Field. But I've experienced a big time feeling, even though that was what they called WrestleMania 22, which I attended in Chicago. Big time. It was a horrible theme song. Big time. It was like the WrestleMania theme song. And I worked with a company with anyways, we don't want to talk about that. The whole point is this. Is there a point? Yes. Wrestling with Randy Orton at Fastlane. I watched his documentary. And I'll talk about that on a separate show because I like to give it its own show. But Randy Orton right now deserves more, being a 14-time world's heavyweight champion. I mean, he's 2 away from tying Ric Flair. We're going to talk about his interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin, but not on this show because we're on the road to WrestleMania. So we're going to focus on WrestleMania 17 this show because of the fact WrestleMania 17 from the Houston Astrodome had the main event for the second time, which was The Rock versus Stone Cold. This was the second time they've been in a main event together at a WrestleMania, which a total of them will be 3 WrestleManias, okay? 3, because everything works in 3s as a good Catholic boy. Anyways, it's still Lent. I can say whatever I want. It's my show. Okay? Anyways, I just turned into Joe Pesci. The priest predicted I become that. Anyways, the whole point is this. WrestleMania season, Fastlane is the road to WrestleMania, like Elimination Chamber now, Fastlane. They keep trying to push as many pay-per-views before the actual WrestleMania. Used to be Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. Now they have Elimination Chamber and they have Fastlane. It should have been just Elimination Chamber and then WrestleMania, but now they added Fastlane. And the reason why, because they want more money. And we want Fastlane to explain to us why Edge and Roman Reigns, with really no buildup, but that's because Edge just won the money in the, he won the Royal Rumble, and the Money in the Bank actually was The Miz, and he cashed it in. He won, and Bobby Lashley now is the World Wrestling Federation champion, and Roman Reigns is the Universal champion. So why do we want Roman Reigns to be defeated at WrestleMania? Because at age 47, hear me out, 47, Edge has returned after a 9.5-year pretty much hiatus because a life ending, career ending, whatever way you want to say it, because he could have been crippled for life. So in a sense, not life ending, but you could have been handicapped for life if he kept wrestling. Okay. Instead, now he's walking and he's chiseled. He looks older, but you know what? It doesn't matter, as Dwayne Johnson would say, that he is back. And Edge now and Christian have just debuted in AEW separately. Okay? So you have Christian in AEW, you have it called Christian Cage, and you have Edge in WWE, two separate companies. Edge obviously is the A-lister. It's always going to be given that Edge was kind of the B and not so A-lister. He even acknowledges the fact that he had a bigger singles career than Edge did. Or I mean, Christian did. Christian acknowledges Edge. You get what I'm saying. But they were one of the greatest tag teams in the history of wrestling. Edge and Christian. Didn't even have a name to their tag team. They were just Edge and Christian. Anyways, well, they were the Brood at first. But that's with Gangrel. Anyways, that's a whole nother show, folks. We're going to focus on the fact that AEW and WWE both have issues. Paul White is there now. He's the Big Show, a.k.a. now Paul White. And no BS is his t-shirt. Funny, get it? No Big Show. Okay, so, and he's a commentator on AEW Elevation, I think is the name of the show. So you're telling me that the Big Show, a.k.a. Paul White, 7 foot plus, so they say, I think he's 7'4", is there, along with WWE superstar Christian. What else? Come on, think about it now, folks. What else? 61-year-old, now actually 62 because he just had a birthday. Sting! Ow! Let's confirm it, folks. I believe Sting just turned 62. And he just recently, this past few months ago, signed, I'm going to put AEW. There he is. He's no longer Sting WWE. Now he's Sting AEW. And now he shoots on AEW Live on the Bleacher Report. So you got to read that. Tony Schiavone interviews both of them on St. Patrick's Day Slam. You see, Sting is currently March 20th of this past year. He turned 62 years young. Dude, he's like 8 years away from being 70 years old, and he's still wrestling. Woo! That's the Nate. And he's not even wrestling. He's 70, I think, 1 now, or 2. How old is Ric Flair? I got to confirm because remember, he's the dad. Okay? And, Lacey Evans, God bless her. She's not wrestling right now because she's really pregnant in real life. But Ric Flair's not the dad. Yes, he's 72. Yeah, you like Maury Povich? I ain't the dad. Yeah, Bird, that was for you. Anyways, but Ric Flair, 72, Sting, 62. 10 years difference. But Sting also almost had a career-ending bump. The buckle bunk, the turnbuckle bump almost paralyzed him in a match against Seth Rollins. And then right after that, the Hall of Fame, WWE. I mean, he's a WWE Hall of Famer. He had his match at WrestleMania, even though he lost to Triple H with a sledgehammer, and then he woke up like 10 minutes later. No, he woke up literally a minute later. No selling the sledgehammer. He's like, oh, and then that hurt. Where was I? NWO. That's right. The guys that I argued with all throughout WCW got my back, and then DX had Triple H's back, and then they shook a hand, and then that was it. And really, Sting left the WWE where he should have stayed, but they never used him. They never wanted to. I don't know why. He's Stinger. Ow! That Stinger. Now, folks, current wrestling has had the most interesting storylines where from the underneath the ring, a hand comes out during a match of Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss. We're going back to that now. You see, I take you on a roller coaster ride, folks. There's so much to talk about in so little time. And the reason why, there is really no chance, as Vince used to say with his theme music, and actually Shane and Vince have the same theme music at WrestleMania 17. We're going to segue to that very soon, folks. But I have to finish up about current wrestling. I mean, we'll end it with this. Mr. Firefly House, Bray Wyatt, a.k.a. The Fiend, he's back after we were okay with setting him on fire. And, who burns a human being except he was a freak-looking character. So WWE currently thinks it's a movie, and so it treats it as a movie. So we can say this is pretend, and all the people say, "Oh, it's fake." And we hate that word because the ring of the year. Yeah, it ain't fake. You still get injured, you still get hurt, you still get paralyzed, but the aspect of the show now has become theatrical, movie, very movie. Or slime has even become a big thing. Slime, like, is it Double Dare? Remember Double Dare? On Nickelodeon with Mark Summers. Anyways, I told you it's called Stuff for a reason. We talk about everything. Like Double Dare, dude, we could do a whole episode on Double Dare and like getting that the flag to the very end. Get the flag, and then they get those, man. They go to Disneyland, you're going to World. No, they used to go to Disney World because they were in the East Coast. Anyways, they used to get all kinds of cool, fabulous prizes. Double Dare. Anyways, that was the theme song. YouTube, you gotta YouTube it for your kids. 80s Double Dare, gotta do it. All right. Anyways, back to focus. That's what we do, folks, on the show. If you haven't realized that yet, I guess you didn't realize it. So let's just finish up with the current wrestling. It's bad. Bray Wyatt comes back as a crispy, like he's the gobbledygooker, but cooked. And for those of you that watch 80s wrestling, Survivor Series, 88, I think it was, or 89, one of those, the guy who comes out of the egg wasn't a guy, was an actual chicken-like type person and then does a do-si-do with Mean Gene Okerlund. Anyways, we'll talk about that because he referenced it in WrestleMania 17. Mean Gene comes back for the gimmick battle royal. But Ric Flair and all these other legends are in current wrestling, and they're totally being disrespected. Let's just say it. They're Randy Orton. He said in a dream world, and we're going to talk about this on another podcast, that we're going to say Randy Orton versus John Cena, the winner, with Ric Flair as a special guest referee. Seriously, don't you think that'd be like the coolest thing for number 17? Okay, but Randy's still stuck at 14. And he just won it from Drew McIntyre, who won it back from him like literally a month later. He's never had a long title reign. He said like AJ Styles, he would like to have that just one time. And he's 40 years old, 40 years young. But I can tell you, woo, I'm the dad. So I just have to, folks. Ever since Ric Flair did that, I have to keep doing it. I'm a huge Ric Flair fan. And as you can see, I look sexy today like the Nate would. These Gucci shoes cost more than your house. Woo! That was Ric Flair in the NWA back in the 80s. I can tell you that Crispy Chicken Bray Wyatt comes out and Randy Orton gets beat by Alexa Bliss and she pins him in a very pornographic way. And the wife, even on Twitter, Randy Orton's wife, said, "You just effed up, like biatch." And then, why? Is it really real? Does she have to say something? The wife, like, it's a show. Your husband gets paid millions for a little tiny woman to straddle your husband for a 1-2-3 victory because the crispy chicken, Bray Wyatt, comes from the underground, the Fiend, and he basically helps Alexa Bliss win a match. Why would you book a match, Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton? Because they have fireballs. She has like He-Man magic of the Masters of the Universe Skeletor powers, like that big thing that used to, like, that big, what do they call that thing? That's a staff. And he would take the staff, a Skeletor, and He-Man, I don't know. And he would go, and we could do a whole episode on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Seriously, folks, on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. Or we could do it on whatever, because there we talk about whatever. Anyways, back to focus. WrestleMania 17, save us from the current wrestling. Because, folks, if I don't wrap this up soon, I'm going to be talking for another hour and a half, and that's probably too long for you. It's too long for me. I don't even have a beverage next to me. I forgot it. Anyways, let's wrap it up. Well, you know what? No, it's my show. I'm getting me a beverage, all right? So you wait right there. I'll keep talking, and I'm going to pour me a beverage, okay? Because I need hydration. Hydration is key, folks. And the only way to stay hydrated, I hope you can hear me because we have a very nice microphone. The only way to stay hydrated is to have hydration. So And I used to say go vegan. I'll say do whatever you want. Okay, so do whatever you want as long as you have an attitude of gratitude and you're healthy. I'm back, everybody. Good to see you again. All right, here we go. Beverage. No sponsor, no naming the beverage. It's a beverage. Back to focus. WrestleMania 17 from the Houston Astrodome. I wasn't there live, but we have to also reference WrestleMania 18 because we neglected two people, RVD and DDP. They had their WrestleMania debuts at WrestleMania 18, and you're going to go check that one out, okay, on my previous episode, because we spoke about the Pontiac Silverdome. Nope, we spoke about the Skydome, because WrestleMania 3 was the Pontiac Silverdome. WrestleMania 18 was the Skydome. And the reason why we're talking about, and see, the reason why I said Silverdome is because we're at the Houston Astrodome about this episode. Are you keeping up, folks? Because we're on a lot of domes. Anyways, RVD and DDP, two wrestlers, three initials. DDP has a movie called Relentless on Amazon Prime currently. RVD is a free agent on the market currently. Well, guess what, folks? Would you ever think about seeing a wrestler do a stand-up comedy show? Ooh, tune in to find out what happens next. But coming at you this year, folks, we're going to be bringing you the best of comedy. We're going to be bringing you the best of Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff, and the best Zoom interviews you've ever seen or heard for your viewing needs, wants, desires, your dream match. Would you believe that WrestleMania 17? And the reason why I referenced RVD and DDP is because RVD won the Intercontinental title against Lord Steven Regal. And I think that's what they call him, or William Regal back then. I used Steven Regal in WCW. Anyways, and Christian was a singles guy, and DDP was the European champion at that time, and WCW had folded. So WrestleMania 18 had DDP and it had RVD. That was his first WrestleMania, and he was super excited. You could tell because he didn't even do the thumbs in the beginning of it. He was just talking the whole time, RVD. And DDP, you could tell, was energetic because he referenced, even Jim Ross referenced, he was at WrestleMania driving the pink Cadillac for the honky tonk man, the honky tonk at WrestleMania 6 at Kaido. Anyways, let's focus on 17, shall we? April 1st, 2001. Steve Austin versus The Rock, the biggest swerve in WrestleMania history. And we're going to tell you why at the end of this review. And the reason why is because April 1st, April Fool's Day, 2001 in Houston, Texas. How y'all doing? I've been to Houston. I was there for a Super Bowl weekend. And I'll tell you, I drove to Texas. Don't ever drive to Texas from California. Oh my God, your butt's going to hurt. But I didn't stop in just one location. I stopped in many, but I drove 17 and a half hours from Arizona all the way to Texas. Woo! I'm the dad. I'm telling you right now, that was the craziest drive, and don't do it by yourself. It's bad. But I did it to save some money, I thought, because I was trying to sell some gear because I'm a hustler. Hey, I'm a hustler, baby. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the attendance at 67,925, and 925 is lucky for me. It's my birthday, so feel free to send me anything. My favorite color is blue, even though I'm wearing this color. Anyways, we'll give you a location to send gifts closer to the date. The whole point is that there was a buy rate of 1,040,000 views. Now that's pretty damn good, considering that there's been 860,000, I believe, for the previous for the next WrestleMania. So it went down a lot. So that year was hot still. Remember, Vince bought the competition. So that year was the year that WCW folded, right? A few weeks prior, actually, that you see Shane McMahon on Nitro. Okay? So at this WrestleMania, you see an Undertaker versus Triple H prior to that match where they had the end of an era, okay, which happened around 25, 26 in that range. But I'll tell you right now, because there was that lead up to it. Remember, Shawn Michaels lost his career. Then Triple H fought him once, and then he fought him again in a Hell in a Cell match. And then they all hold each other. But that sounded so weird. But anyways, you know what I'm saying. that WrestleMania 17, if you don't, by the way, it doesn't matter, as The Rock would say in this match later on in the evening. He doesn't say much, actually, because he gets his ass whooped. Anyways, but I'll tell you, we have to focus on the fact that The Undertaker and Triple H have a great match. And they really beat the crap out of each other. Undertaker keeps the streak. But this was a time where blood was still all good. And there's a lot of blood at this WrestleMania. It's almost like it had that NWA feel to it. You know, when blood was considered okay. Now it's very PG. So they avoid this. They avoid the blading. They avoid the all that stuff that goes along with wrestling. You have to understand some folks. We explained to you that it's not fake, but there are certain aspects. The blading is when you get cut and the blood comes out. Okay, it's a razor. They do it. But you know what? It's called you should kayfabe. You're not supposed to reveal the secrets, but everyone knows it now. It sucks that people feel like it's fake, but these people, these warriors, have put their blood, sweat, and tears into this business. So they are not disrespecting you by doing what they're doing. They're just showing you their war. They're willing to scar themselves for your entertainment. But now it's a publicly traded stock on the market, which I own stock in. And I'll tell you right now, the WWE is just very family friendly on USA and currently on Fox nationwide. Okay. And I'll tell you right now, worldwide, because they're the World Wrestling Federation to me. And when they were at this WrestleMania, they were still the WWF at the time. And the main event was Stone Cold versus The Rock. But you have to remember the matches on the WrestleMania card are the best matches. So we're going to lead you up to that Rock versus Stone Cold. This whole card, there was a reason why it had over 1 million buy rates for pay-per-view. Okay. So over 1 million households were watching that day, according to my information here. And the reason why this was a successful WrestleMania is because it grossed $3.5 million. Okay. That's a lot of money. Anytime a WrestleMania comes to a city, just so you know, that city is like a Super Bowl city that weekend and it wins. So this year it'll be Raymond James, where the economy has been so bad because of COVID. And now there's a chance for it to resurge a little bit in that area where they're letting 45,000, last I checked, still going to WrestleMania this year, which is number 37. But what happens is Monday Nitro folded on March 26, 2001. Okay, so not too far from the actual date of this WrestleMania. We're talking like a week leading into it. So they built a miniature storyline with Shane versus Vince McMahon. Father versus son in a basically where Shane McMahon goes coast to coast on his dad and really they don't even know what that is at that point. He wins that match and he has like a balcony of WCW wrestlers who are the ones that are not under contract to AOL Time Warner. They're not the big name ones. And their energy in that box was just so sad. Like, we lost the war. Yay, we're at WrestleMania. Wow. I mean, these are the types of things that you take note of now as a fan, because this show is about a fan's perspective. And I never noticed it. I was really excited that WCW was in WWE. Why? Because I thought they were going to keep going and they were going to give it the same war style. But it didn't have it. It literally folded that same year. The invasion angle, ECW, WCW merging. I mean, they could have gone so many places with this, and they didn't. As they said with Stone Cold Steve Austin, you dropped the ball. Well, WWE at that time dropped the ball. Dropped the ball. They should have had one of the biggest ever. And this could have gone on and on. I mean, eventually they brought back ECW, but it was horrible. I mean, seriously. The mid-2000s version, even though it gave RVD the whole effort show a WWE and ECW title simultaneously until he got into a little trouble and lost. They stripped him of the WWE title and ECW title, which was unfortunate because he was getting his push and deservingly. But that's down the line. We'll talk about that. At this WrestleMania, we have a WCW versus WWE match where even Shane is like more the babyface and Vince is the evil tyrant husband, and Stephanie's with him coming down to the ring. So like it's almost a family feud, and their mother, Linda McMahon, eventually comes down with Trish, the mistress, and Vince basically gets slapped by Trish, and eventually we learn that Linda is not doped up on whatever medications, and she gets out of the wheelchair. Now, I don't even remember why she's so medicated now. I mean, but I think the stress of the family issues made her get, loopy, and she took medicine. I don't know. Does it really matter? Vince loses the match, and he shocks us at the end of the night. Shane wins, but WCW folded. And Mick Foley's the special guest referee. It's a crazy match, full of ups and downs and twists and turns. And eventually, we get to the Dudleys, the Hardy Boys, and Edge and Christian. Oh my God. If you've never seen a match with a tag team, basically, how do we call it? Just a ladders, tables, and chairs match. We call it a train wreck. That match is I call it the best match of the night. Folks, you have to see this amazing tag team match. These guys put their bodies on the line, and they literally stole the show. Like some of the maneuvers, still to this day, we see highlights of it, like when Jeff Hardy gets basically seriously, I cannot believe this move. Seriously, from the rafters of the sky, he's dangling on the tag team belts with his feet in the air, high up in the air, and he gets a spear from Edge off the ladder to the ground. Dude, as they say here in California or wherever you live, dude, that is amazing. You know what? That was awesome. Yeah, that's what the current chant would be. But they didn't do it back then, I don't think. Okay, they started it later. They go, this is. I said, I don't do the stupid chants. I just said, deal. Or as Ron Simmons would say, deal. Anyways, dude, this match is off the hook. It included Lita, Spike Dudley eventually, and Rhino. Gore, gore, gore. That's ECW Rhino, who basically ECW folded too, remember? So WCW, ECW folded. So you have all these talents now on a WWF card, and they're working for WWF. So they're included in this match. So because there's no rules, anyone can interfere. It's a basically hardcore, no rules match. So Lita came in, Rhino came in to help win it, and Spike Dudley came in, the long lost Dudley brother, or whatever he is, bastard brother. I don't know. Anyways, he's just a brother, and they ignore him eventually, and he's gone. And it focuses on Devon and Bubba Ray. But this match isn't the main event, but it stole the show. And then we have the gimmick battle royal. Hillbilly Jim, don't go messing with a country boy. And they took out that music in WWE Network. So you don't even hear that music anymore. Iron Sheik, number one. Iran, number one. These guys wrestle at this WrestleMania in 2001. So folks, Iron Sheik, he's barely moving around. He wins the gimmick battle royal. What? With Michael PSAs, Sergeant Slaughter, Jim Cornette, Brother Love. I mean, it is the Bushwhackers. Whoa, yay! I mean, all these guys are the gobbledygookers in it with feet now. I don't know. It's weird. Mean Gene, Bobby the Brain Heenan interrupt Jim Ross and Paul E. Dangerously at the time. I think he was still Paul E. Dangerously, or he might have been Paul Heyman, but I think he was Paul E. Anyways, all I'm saying is this. It is entertainment. That gimmick battle royal made me happy. And I'll tell you right now why. I've watched it over and over and over again. Okay? The characters of the 80s and 90s are in this match. the Goon. I mean, people that we don't even remember. They're all in it. Okay? Because we like characters. And the reason why this was a fun match is because the Iron Sheik era number one, who I base Sheik Hassan number one on. I'll tell you right now, we still need a Zoom with the Iron Sheik. Sheiky, baby, we want you on the show. Number one, you're jabroni. Anyways, and then we go from there. Let's talk about the main event of the evening, folks, for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock. Oh my goodness. A struggle with music from Fred Durst. There's Limp Bizkit storyline. I mean, it was, you got the Undertaker with rolling, rolling, rolling. I mean, it was a very good time to be a wrestling fan because they brought that music, they brought that drama of Wrestlemania and blood in the match. The Rock is broken open. I don't know why there's so much blood at this match, or at this, in this match and at this pay-per-view. It is considered, like, when you watch wrestling, I mean, which is now widely seen as the golden age of wrestling. I would never have thought of it as that. But you know what? Because that was considered the 50s and 60s. But the early 2000s, the late 90s, it is still the greatest period of wrestling. There's never going to be a period of time from the mid 90s to the early 2000s and the ruthless aggression era that is the best wrestling. But they could have really done so much more with WCW, ECW, and the storylines, because eventually Stone Cold Steve Austin in this match turns heel. Yes, heel Austin was really what started in the mid 90s. And then you go from that to babyface Austin, where everybody loves the fact he's taking on the boss. Mike Tyson's the special guest referee at WrestleMania 14. And right there, this is WrestleMania now 17, 3 years later. Okay? This is Stone Cold Steve Austin's second shiny moment. Why? Because he actually joins forces with Vince McMahon. Yes, the guy who early in the night lost to his son, but wins in the end because he has a toast in the ring with the guy who gave him hell on earth for years. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the same guy, the Texas Rattlesnake, who you couldn't trust, was shaking hands, as Jim Ross would say, with Satan himself, Vince McMahon. Jim Ross and Paul Heyman are doing the commentary, and there's just shock. Like at the end of the show, the storyline is so built up there at the end because we don't just sign up. We see The Rock try to get up again and take another, I can't believe it, a belt to the head. He has the championship belt that he just beat him for. He just beat The Rock for the title. And a swerve, which you really don't have an explanation for. Just Austin is in a very weird stare in the locker room right before the match. And The Rock is walking to the ring. And we just know that something's up with Austin. He just has that, like, I'm about to do something. We didn't know what. But it was an evil stare. It was like it was a very done, tight shot on Austin. And we get it right before the match to build that story, to build that, oh my God, something's about to happen. Why 1,040,000 people, 1,040,000 buyers, folks, tuned in that night to see history, to see Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon toast, like literally. And then he gave a beer to The Rock on the ground. And I think that was just his subtle way of saying thank you for another great match and passing the torch back to me to carry, as we know that The Rock is going to be shortly transitioning to Hollywood, and Stone Cold has to retire before he really wanted to, right after the Safeco Field match with The Rock a couple WrestleManias later. I'm telling you right now, folks, they built up a long history of storylines, okay, with this match. And I'll tell you right now, to see this happen with my own eyes was shocking. Like, I couldn't believe after all the years of competition with WCW that they wanted to do this. I guess that's the twist that they gave us. Like, the war's over. We're going to give you something new. We don't need Steve Austin against Vince McMahon to win the war. Now we've got them together. And eventually it becomes comical with Kurt Angle wearing a little cowboy hat and all kinds of ways of making it funny that Austin now is a heel. And they have the Alliance versus the WWF. And they show that Stone Cold didn't turn yet to WCW. I mean, this is going to build. And they could have taken this thing for a long period of time. But Survivor Series 2001, where it's Team WWF versus Team WCW or Team Alliance. They literally within, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. In less than a year, folks, from March to November, they decided to end ECW and WCW formerly, and even ECW resurrecting in the mid-2000s with ECW One Night Stand. We should review that pretty soon, because that match that put Rob Van Dam on the map, it was the second one, I believe, or the first. Either way, we're going to talk about both of them. That ended up transitioning ECW back to mainstream TV on the Sci-Fi Network. All this happens, folks, because of WrestleMania 17. Okay? So tune in to WrestleMania 17 and see the swerve of all swerves and see one of the best matches of the night. Even though, in my opinion, the one that stole the night was that hardcore triple tag team match with the ladders, tables, and chairs. Oh my God. Okay? As Joey Styles was saying, ECW. Oh my God. Anyways, I think that's it, folks. We had a good time. It's a good episode. It's a long one. But guess what? You stayed with us. I know you're still watching. I know you're still listening. We're about to end it. Seriously, we are. I do the longest goodbyes. But just realize something, folks. We can't win without you. Go to TikTok. Go to YouTube. Go to Spotify. Go to iTunes. Go to Instagram. Go to Facebook. I'm all maxed out on my profile page. So if you try to add me now, you can't. So we're going to have to figure it out. Or just like me on my Facebook page. Okay, on my Larry's New Wrestling page, because I can't add you. So you're just going to sit there in cyberspace and not be added. So why don't you do me a favor? Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on Spotify, and like our page on Facebook, like our Instagram, and like our TikTok, Larry's New Wrestling Podcast, at Larry Lawrence Podcast on TikTok. I think so. Let me check to confirm. You know what? It does matter to me. I should know my handles, right? You know, that's what they call your stuff here in 2021. It's called a handle. So let's just go and get it accurate so that way you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you want to go to at Larry Lawrence Podcast, okay? That's how you find Larry's New Wrestling Podcast and stuff, okay? On TikTok. Maybe that's why they're not finding it, Bird. It's a weird name. It's not Larry's. Anyways, at symbol LARRY LAWRENCE PODCAST. If you don't know how to spell Larry Lawrence Podcast. Okay? Subscribe, follow us on TikTok, or like our stuff too. Both. Okay? Anyways, let's wrap it up. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Just remember, as we go through life, up and down and all around, stay healthy and happy. Have an attitude of gratitude. Thank you for tuning in. As we sign off, we let you know our lives are whatever we make of it. Let's just go out there into the world today and do me a favor. Don't just do it for me. Do it for yourself. And do me a favor and make it a great one. Thank you all for tuning into our show. And we will see you soon on Larry's New Wrestling Podcast. And